New this morning for Charlie Kirk's family. This week isn't just about a court case, it's another painful chapter in a story they never wanted to live. ERIKA, Charlie's parents, arrive in a Utah courtroom to face Charlie's accused killer, Tyler Robinson, face to face nearly 10 months after the Turning Point USA founder was shot and killed while speaking at Utah Valley University. This week's preliminary hearing is expected to last several days as prosecutors present evidence, witness testimony, and DNA evidence they say links 23-year-old Robinson to the shooting. Prosecutors are asking the judge to allow the case to move forward toward trial. With us today is Dave Hodges, host of the Common Sense Show, to discuss the trial and the day Charlie was assassinated. Dave, good to have you on the show today to talk about everything Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA, this hearing that's going on this week. This is uh, opening up old wounds for the family and for those who loved Charlie. Let's start there. The family seeing Tyler Robinson face to face yesterday, the first time, had to be a tough day for them.
This is a memory that will never leave them, and it's tragic and it's sad, and my heart goes out to them. And it's the media circus around it won't let them forget. There won't be a normal grieving process, and it's very tragic. But I come from the camp that Tyler Robinson did not shoot Charlie Kirk. I'm not saying he's innocent, okay, because I think he was in suspicious positions, but a 30-06 didn't do what they said it did. That's not possible. I've interviewed too many spec ops snipers. I've talked to SWAT team members, and they laugh at the 30-06 story. And then you add to the fact that they paved over the crime scene 48 hours after, and now it's come out that there was an individual that was apprehended, charged with a felony, and then later released, who was taking pictures inside the crime scene within 24 hours with a special camera. We don't know the camera, but they said it was unusual looking. And this individual named Kennington was, in my book, was probably taking microscopic photos looking for bullet fragments or anything else that could be tied to the assassination. And the fact that they covered up a crime scene so quickly without a proper investigation tells me they found something on his camera. And the fact that those charges were dropped against him is very suspicious. We don't know the entire story. And the lone nut assassin theory falls apart on one item, Vanessa. This is unmistakably true. George Zinn, who's tied to the CIA, both back to 9/11 and the Boston Marathon bombing, and that's a matter of public record, he stands up after Charlie goes down, throws his hands in the air, and says, I did it, I did it. He makes a statement to hospital nurses he was paid for the distraction, and he conveniently is put incommunicado because of child porn that they found on his phone where he can't answer questions from the media. But he says he's there to create a distraction. I believe that. And that destroys the lone nut assassin theory. So we're not getting the entire story.
You're right. We haven't seen the entire story. However, we're going to agree to disagree today, Dave, on a lot of things, and that's okay. That's what healthy conversations are all about. Let's go back to the crime scene and how you say that they covered it up within days. If you look at from an investigator's point of view, and I've come from a law enforcement family, been around law enforcement all of my life, homicide investigations. I was in Butler when President Trump was shot. It took them about 3 days to get the evidence they needed from the scene before they cleared that, and they had it roped off, and then everyone was allowed in to go get their equipment. Same thing here. You have these investigators who go in, and if if you look online and if you read up on this and you study this and around law enforcement and ask them, a homicide investigation, say inside a home, a normal home, would be maybe 24 to 48 hours. And then as you get, deeper into someone like Charlie Kirk on a college campus, uh, in the public eye, they go in, they get the casings, they get the DNA evidence that they need. And this, can take 48 to 72 hours, which is 3 days. And so there's a lot of, people who are saying, this they weren't out there long enough. So everyone, on, and I'm not saying you specifically, Dave, but there's a lot of people online, a lot of social media influencers who all of a sudden have their, law enforcement's license, who say they weren't out there long enough. They, this is a cover up. This is that. But that's typical time frame for a homicide of this nature is, 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah, that doesn't explain away George Zinn. And I'm bothered by the video footage that we have. They allegedly have a right angle camera we've never seen. And then we're talking about 3 o'clock. What we see is from 6 o'clock, and we see a figure you can't identify. That could be me, and I wouldn't recognize me. And if they have that much video, then why aren't we seeing someone in the sniper's position just running across the roof? And to me, it speaks to a lack of transparency. And I could continue to go on and on. No medical coverage at the event. 911 was not called. Listen, I used to run, when I was a college basketball coach, I used to run the biggest high school league in the state of Arizona. And I had to have medical on standby. I had to have security. I had to have all those basic things for a basic athletic event. And Charlie, who is a figure who's known to have enemies, for them not to have medical personnel, not to have called 911, and to go to the farthest hospital away in a private vehicle is just, to me, it's just really hard to accept that this is all some just bad judgments, a series of bad judgments. It looks very suspicious. And then the crime scene tampering that bothers me the most, and I've talked to Sheriff Mack about this, is that when Terrell Farnsworth jumps a chair, immediately when Charlie goes down and pulls out the SIM cards from the camera, takes the cameras down, that's crime scene evidence. And that's tampering with the crime scene. And I can't believe he hasn't been charged.
You're absolutely right. You are right about that. Someone tampering with anything after someone is shot at the scene is tampering with evidence. Um, Speaking on behalf of, no emergency vehicles there, not enough security. A little bit of that came out yesterday, Dave, in the hearing. What did they say? Maybe 6 law enforcement officers. When you have someone like you mentioned, Charlie Kirk, who is a prime target. I mean, he got death threats all the time. But Charlie Kirk is not a member of a presidential administration. He's still a citizen, a U.S. citizen, so he has to pay for his own security. And on top of that, the school only had 4 to 6 law enforcement officers that they assigned that day. But it begs to question, why was there no ambulance there? You have hundreds, if not thousands, of students that come to these events for Charlie Kirk to see him. They're outside on this day. I don't know what the temperature was like, but anything can happen. And usually, typically, you would have first responders there, and there weren't.
No, that was very, very, there's a lot of suspicious things there. Let me give you one more. There's the name of a college that jumps out of my mind. It's in Manitou Springs, outside Colorado Springs, Colorado. Charlie was scheduled to go there a few days after the UVU event. And I've contacted them and I asked them for a copy of their security agreement. I was going to FOIA it if I had to. And unfortunately, they said, we don't have one. They never did one with us. It's almost as if they knew he wasn't going to be there. I mean, you keep getting these elements that by themselves may not mean a lot, but in combination with each other, it starts to look suspicious. And I'll give you another one that bothers me. And that's as they call him the amazing Mikey McCoy. He's not 4 feet away from Charlie when Charlie goes down. And he immediately is on his cell phone, doesn't look twice at Charlie, walks away. Later, we see Charlie's body being carried to an SUV, and there's Mikey in the frame, walking away, still talking on the phone. That's extreme indifference to the welfare of somebody who was supposed to be your friend. And we keep seeing these things over and over and over in video evidence. And it just looks like there's a really lack of remorse, that a lack of concern for Charlie. And it's tragic. And let me just say this: Charlie and I were aligned on a real common issue in Arizona. We have the most corrupt elections in the country, and I know there's a lot of examples around the country, but we have the most corrupt. In fact, people tell me, Dave, you export your methods to our state. And Charlie and I were aligned in this. I aligned with TPUSA like crazy. I loved what Charlie did. I encouraged young people to go see Charlie when he was around. This broke my heart when he was killed. And the first thing I said when I went on air, we need 50 million more Charlie Kirks because his work was that great. And then people started criticizing the seemingly lack of remorse for ERIKA Kirk. I defended her. And I defended her to the point where I could say, I can't deny what I'm seeing. And I have a mental health background. I used to work in therapy. And I know the grieving stages very well. And I know they can be varied. But I just consistently saw her with video releases concerned about raising money on Charlie's legacy rather than dealing with what was an obvious trauma. And she jumped right into work. And I defended that because some people will bury the grief by getting busy. And I thought that's what she was doing. But then, Vanessa, what I started to see were the lies that she told about the period of time between 2013 and 2018. I didn't drink, I didn't date, and yet we have all these videos that have appeared, some in the public media on TV shows, where she was doing exactly that. And I'm saying, why would you even lie about that? Well, she was trying to create, I think, the Christian trad wife impression. And this is what threw ERIKA Kirk into suspicion for me. And I didn't want to go there where I said, man, I'm looking at her in a different way than I ever have before. And then insiders inside TPUSA that are scared of their shadow tell me they didn't like her. She was cold and different. Her and Charlie were having marital problems that really surfaced visibly in some of the meetings. It just, the whole thing just really, really bothers me. And it's tragic. I mean, TPUSA was a valuable organization for America, and it's turned away from America into an Israeli first organization and you can just measure that by the Israeli donors they're bringing on. And listen, my grandmother's maiden name is Freiberg. I am not anti-Semitic despite charges to the contrary. But the bottom line is we should be about America first, allying with Israel. But right now we've got it backwards. We seem to be allying with Israel before our own national interests. And this really is evident inside TPUSA. And Charlie had really bumped up against that. He got taken to the Hamptons and basically got dressed down by the donors. Charlie felt threatened. That's come out by people I've talked to. He even said, I wonder if something's going to happen to me. And then here's the suspicious thing that really bothers me. The TPUSA people today say we're defending Charlie's legacy. We're continuing it. Well, 8 days before his death, he ordered an audit. Now, they don't want to call it that, but when you order a review of financial practices, that's an audit by any other term. That was 8 days before his death. And to this day, that audit's never been honored. And I find that to be irregular, dishonest if you're trying to preserve a legacy. Continue his work.
Yes. Okay, so let's go back to ERIKA. Don't you think uh that people change? People go through stages in their 20s and their teens, and they go to college and they do all the things, and then they grow up, and then they get married and have kids, and then they start this life. And I've seen people, Dave, in church 2 decades ago, they were in bars, and so they are raising their families in private schools, and they are living this perfect life with their, what seems to be perfect on the outside, with their families and their kids, and they're taking them to school and then to baseball practice. And on Sundays, they're in church. People change. And so if we go back and we criticize ERIKA Kirk, what she did in her past and who she dated, and if she had a drink, in her hand, is that fair?
Vanessa, I'm not criticizing that she did that. You're entitled to have a life before you meet the love of your life. I have no problem with that. I dated girls before I met my wife, and I've been married 3.5 decades. So that's not bothering me. What bothers me is she lied about it actively. We have video evidence that she lied, and then we've seen contrary evidence. And I'm thinking, why do you have to lie about that? And the other thing is, too, is she's part of a religious organization. Okay, well, we were all sinners falling short of the glory of God. We find Jesus, and then we repent and we change our ways. There's nothing wrong with the truthful admission of something like that. And I don't think what she did was that bad. She obviously had two boyfriends during that time and they were close. That's normal living. It's okay to have a drink. It's okay to party and go on a reality TV show. I have no issue with that until you lie about it consistently.
Well, I'm going to defend ERIKA. And I don't defend lying by no means, but we live in a world where you're judged if you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And we live in a world where, if she blinks wrong, she's judged. If she turns her head one way, she's judged. If she wipes her eye, they're fake tears. I mean, the girl can't catch a break. And so, yes, we want her to tell the truth. Yes, we want her to be transparent. She is at the helm of Turning Point USA now. But at the same time, people need to leave Erica Kirk alone. Erica Kirk came out, Dave, 2 days after Charlie passed and addressed the world and said, the tears of this widow will echo around this world like a battle cry.
Mhm.
Meaning, if you think for 1 second the devil's going to win and take my husband and take this Turning Point USA, this massive, massive organization that he built. If you think that that's gone because Charlie's no longer with us, you're wrong. And so she goes to work, and then people are like, oh, a grieving widow. Yeah, right. She needs to go home to her kids. Okay. Again, she can't win. She can't do anything right. She goes to work. Why isn't she with her kids? She's with her kids. Turning Point, she's not at Turning Point USA. They judge the clothes she wears on stage. This is a former pageant queen, and I come from a very strong pageant background. We like to dress up, we like to put our makeup on, we like to do our hair, and we know that you can never be too overdressed. Rule number 1, you can never be too overdressed. So when she walks on stage, and Charlie liked flashy. Charlie liked the sparklers. That's what his signature was. And so they're like, "Oh, she's a mourning widow. Look at the sparklers going." That's a Charlie signature. And so I don't know. I think that we should, Dave, let this all play out. What we're going to find out in court today, or this week, and then hopefully this does go to trial. I think we're going to see some things that haven't been released to the public yet, and good call by the judge for allowing cameras in the courtroom to allow some transparency that we haven't seen yet. Again, I know you've done a lot of investigations in the background, and that's great. However, investigators aren't going to give all of their information. All of that's private until it comes out in court. And so there's so much we haven't seen yet. And I think this is going to provide a lot of transparency and debunk a lot of rumors that are out there on social media.
Well, I have some concerns about the proceedings already in court. One of them was hundreds of thousands of pages were dumped on the defense mere days before the process was to begin, and the judge wouldn't grant a delay that would be necessary for them to go through and look for exculpatory evidence. I have a real problem with the fairness of that judge on that ruling. And then we have conflicts of interest where it should basically cause people on the prosecution not even to be on the team. One of them is related to the Farnsworth family, Farnsworth as in TPUSA. That's not allowed in judicial proceedings. So I already have concerns. And then Ryan Mata did some interesting work that caught my attention. And the work came down to researching IP addresses from Israel and then later Huntsville, Alabama, where FBI regional headquarters is in the Southeast. And back in July, and this is now 2 months before Charlie's death, people at those IP addresses were researching the judge before he came into the position, researching the hospital where Charlie was taken, and it was odd they took him to the farthest hospital, researching other people in TPUSA, UVU, security procedures, and this has all come out. Now, that's been scrubbed by Google, but Ryan Mata preserved the evidence and showed it when it was still live. And I went and looked at it, and I had a holy crap moment. I said, man, this is just too bizarre. And the night before the assassination, the night before, FBI regional headquarters was posted on their IP, they were looking at someone named Tyler James Robinson. Now, maybe there's two Tyler James Robinsons out there, but this was the night before Charlie's death. And I find these things to be unsettling. That to me isn't something you can take into court and make a point one way or another with guilt. But the whole issue here related to the court case, related to the crime scene, related to basically misleading statements about one's past, all add up to the fact that we really can't trust what we're hearing and seeing. I did Kennedy assassination work with people like Jim Marrs for years. And I see a lot of similarities with how evidence was handled and so forth. Uh, I want justice for Charlie, and I'm afraid we're not going to get it. I'm not saying we're not going to, and I want to see what comes out in the court. But when the judge allows the prosecution to withhold information to the last minute, that's unethical. You can be sanctioned for that, and he didn't do anything to him for that.
Well, I guarantee the defense team will definitely look into that, Dave, and file if they have to, if they're seeing the same thing you just mentioned about holding evidence
It's a
until the
basis
last
for an
minute.
appeal. Yeah, it's a basis for appeal, Vanessa, and I hope it comes down to that because I want full transparency on this. And listen, okay, so Erica did lie about her 5 years. That's without question. I could prove that in the court of law. Okay, whatever reason she had. If the other allegations against her end up not being true, okay, then I'll be the first one to repent and say, hey, look, I'm sorry.
What other allegations against her?
She was more concerned about the money than the grief. And I've heard this from insiders in TPUSA repeatedly. And there's video evidence of that. 6 days after Charlie's death, she's doing an internal Zoom call with employees and not a word about Charlie, which I don't find unusual, okay, because people can deny. It's a normal part of the process. But she's gleeful about the money they're raising and the amount of people that were at the memorial. And it was like this child giddiness. And it upset me because it seemed to be inconsistent with what I would expect to see with the grief being so raw and so near in proximity. And remember, I come from a mental health background. And I looked at that and I said, I'm disturbed by that. And that's what really kept me from following through when I was in communication with Andrew Colvit's aide to be at the memorial. I just said, I really have concerns. I'm going to sit this one out.
Okay, let's put our manager hat on for a second. ERIKA has a team of people, and I don't know anything about Turning Point USA's their departments, their department heads, how they have their employees structured. But say she's on this Zoom call, and I've seen the Zoom call that you're talking about, and I heard what she said and saw her face when she mentioned the hat sales and the shirt sales days after Charlie passed. There's got to be a sales team. There's got to be a marketing team. There's got to be, a team that's just over events. There's got to be so many different teams. So as a manager, you go into your team's meeting and says, hey, we're going to have to just keep the ball rolling here. We're not going to give up. We're going to keep going. Sales, we're doing good here. Marketing, we need to do good here. PR, we need to do good here. Da, 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 da. Isn't that what a manager does?
Okay. Listen, I really hope that people like you can convince me that the conclusions I fought against, now I tend to believe are wrong. But I'll give you one here's my most cringeworthy moment in this whole issue. And it's the handling of an event at AmFest when ERIKA was the CEO. And they bring the tent that Charlie was assassinated in, and people get to go in there and take selfies. They're selling merchandise. And when I first heard about this, I said, that just can't be. And then I asked myself, I said, what grieving spouse would ever allow that kind of desecration to take place? That was my most cringeworthy moment. And that's when I really sat back and I said, I have real issues with ERIKA Kirk.
I was there and I saw that memorial, and that's exactly what it was. They had the tent and they had 2 frames of Charlie Kirk. It was a memorial. And so to some people it was eerie, to some people they went and took photos there. It was a time to reflect. It was very touching to some people. Like you mentioned, some people thought it was wrong and just, cold. But other people thought it was a great way to honor Charlie. And look, this is realistic. This is the tent. Here's his photo. And it's just the way you look at it and how you feel. But yes, lots of controversy around that tent. Dave, I could talk to you all day about this. I want to just tell our viewers, just to catch them up a little bit about what happened in the hearing yesterday. Investigators testified Robinson was seen on campus 4 separate times that day, including the time of the shooting. Graphic videos of the shooting were admitted The judge is being very careful with this because he doesn't want any edited videos. I do know that when you were watching the hearing yesterday, they had actually circled some editing, circled what looks to be Tyler Robinson in the videos. The judge was questioning that because he wants unedited videos. Dave, we know how AI is these days and things like
You're
that.
right.
So he just wants to make sure unedited videos are submitted. Yesterday, the prosecution did not have some of the unedited videos, but promised that they would get that to the judge. The medical examiner autopsy report was submitted. The cause of death, they say, was a gunshot wound. Now, the medical examiner is expected to testify later in the hearing with more forensic findings, such as bullet trajectory, wound characteristics, and things of that nature. We do know security was tight yesterday. Donald Trump Jr. was inside the courtroom with his wife, along with Jack Posobiec, longtime friends of Charlie Kirk. We also know that ERIKA and Charlie's mother were holding hands. How about this one, Dave?
Don't listen.
They
I
were
hear what you're
comforting
saying.
each other. Tyler Robinson, we're told by reporters inside the courtroom, he was seen smiling and laughing with his attorneys, no remorse.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I didn't see that, but I had heard that too. And I'm glad to see Erica aligning with the mother because a lot of people have been critical that they didn't think that these two were on the same page. And I think that was probably dispelled yesterday. But let me ask you a question, okay? And maybe this is what we close with. I want the truth, okay? And that's all I'm interested in. I want the truth. I want Charlie to be avenged. And here's what tremendously bothers me. The Israeli connection keeps coming in. Joe Kent, the head of counterterrorism, and Tulsi Gabbard wanted information released from the FBI on any information, and we don't know what that would be, but any information that could be related to the Charlie Kirk assassination involving a foreign government. And Patel cut that, he just shot that down, says, we're not doing that. Then they have a meeting with the chief of staff, Susie Wiles, who helped run Netanyahu's 2023 campaign. We know where that loyalty lies. And they shut that down and they said, no, you're not getting the evidence. If we truly are going to be transparent and we're truly going to explore all possibilities in a homicide, and you can't give the information to the head of counterterrorism and the director of national intelligence, who was Kash Patel's boss, then how can we possibly trust the investigation from the federal government? That's where they really lost me.
And you're right. There's not a soul on this earth that doesn't want justice for Charlie Kirk. We all want the truth, Dave. We all want transparency from the top to the bottom. And that's with anything. And so, again, I think we're going to find out a lot in the coming week inside this hearing. Plus, if this goes to trial, we'll really hear more. But you know how it goes, Dave. You're in the game. No matter what they provide and what they show, there's still going to be a lot of speculation online and conspiracy theories. But I'm glad for people like you who really truly do your homework and you talk to people and you investigate, and that's what it's all about. A lot of people online just post what they see and they run with it, but you really dig deep and you investigate and you conduct interviews. And kudos to you for trying to dig and find out some answers to get the truth about Charlie Kirk.
Vanessa, I got to say this. First of all, I appreciate your professionalism because we can have this discussion in a civil fashion, and Charlie would be proud of this conversation, I think. But also, I wanted to say something about Lindell TV. Thank God for Mike Lindell and the work he continues to do and the work he tried to do to straighten out our corrupt election system. So I wanted to make sure I got that in. It was an honor to come on this show.
Well, you're always invited, and I hope you come back on because this is going to be a long, drawn out trial if it goes to trial. And I would love for you to come back on, Dave, and have a conversation because, again, we both want justice for Charlie, justice for his kids who have to grow up without their father. And, we may have some disagreements on how things are played out, but in the end, we have one common goal, and that's justice. And so I appreciate you and continue the good work.
Thank you very much for having me on. My pleasure.
And as we go to break, remembering Charlie Kirk, last week we had musician Mike Cavanaugh, that is, he was on the show. He put out a music video, and we want to show that to you again just in case some of you missed it. As we go to break, he's honoring Charlie with this new song, The Voice of the Age. It's now available on iTunes.
We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a flash in the pan movement.
I don't have a song today. Can't seem to find the right words to say. I remember a time when freedom would reign. Now talking to your neighbor ain't the same. Now we lost the voice of the age, gunned down in a murderous rage. I don't want a civil war, no. Only God knows what it's for, though. You're gonna say his name. Charlie Kirk died a martyr, not in vain. Now, Lord, bring revival to the land. Christ is Lord on the lips of every woman and man. A widow cries out, I forgive you. Now, men, let's go fight. If you're gonna say his name. Charlie Kirk died a martyr, not in vain. You're gonna say his name. Charlie Kirk died a martyr, not in vain. If you're gonna say his name. Charlie Kirk died a martyr, not in vain.
You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase. Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control. Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. All the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell.
Will benefit. So ring the bell, Mr. President.
A brand new investment program for America's youngest generation is officially underway. President Trump has launched Trump accounts by ringing the opening bell, as you just saw, for both the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ from the Oval Office. Now, the program is designed to help families begin building long-term wealth for their children.
I hope so. I think it will. I really believe it's going to be one. I think we've done a lot of great things, but I think this will be one of the top. It's going to teach children to be entrepreneurial as opposed to the threat of communism that you're seeing a lot. This is not social democrats, by the way. That's a beautiful, we're social democrats, they say. They're not social, they're communists. They want to destroy our country. We're not going to let that happen. But this helps, even from the parent standpoint. You know, they see their child getting richer and richer as the market goes up. If it goes down, they don't lose anything, and they make money, they have money. But if it goes up, they could become actually rich. And the parents are going to be watching, and we're all going to be watching, and we're part of a very big and very beautiful game. It's going to bring them into the mainstream.
And here's how it works. Every U.S. citizen child born between January 1st of 2025 and December 31st of 2028 qualifies for a one-time $1,000 federal investment. That money is automatically invested into a low-cost stock market index fund designed for long-term growth. Now, all children under 18 can also have an account, just not that $1,000 one-time payment. Parents, other family members, friends can contribute up to $5,000 a year to the account. Employers, so ask your bosses, they can also contribute within limits established under the law. Now, at 18, that money may be used for higher education and other qualifying expenses. And already, since its launch, over 500,000 children have received their initial $1,000 deposit. So it's rolling out right now. All you have to do is go to trumpaccounts.gov, create an account. It's very easy to do. It'll walk you through it, very user-friendly. Again, the website or the app walks you through the setup process. So go sign your children up for a Trump account. And let's see how the markets are opening today with a live look from MarketWatch.com. The Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ. The Dow up at this time. Markets are reacting to the latest economic indicators, including inflation data and expectations around Federal Reserve policy. Investors are also closely watching for any signals or interest rate direction. So that's what we're watching today on Wall Street. And staying on the topic of our children, America's Future 250, that event is underway, protecting our children, restoring families, and returning to common sense. Our Kara Castronova is standing by with Angela Stanton-King with more.
Hey everybody, Kara Castronova with LINDELLTV here in Washington, D.C. at the America's Future 250 event with Angela Stanton-King, talking about America's future and what we can do to protect children moving forward. That's what she will be speaking about today. Tell us more.
Well, I think that one of the most important things that we can do when it comes to protecting America's children is make sure that they aren't separated from their families. And family separation comes in the form of, criminal justice, especially when it comes to America's families as well. I kind of remember when I first got in this fight and was asked to go speak with President Trump to share my story. And I remember the day before I went to speak with President Trump, everyone on the news, every channel was talking about family separation at the border. Well, family separation happens in the border as well. One of the ways that we can make sure American children are protected is to make sure that they have parents and that they have guardians that are watching over them. That's why I'm here today.
That's great. And so I know that you have an organization as well. It's called Aunt Angie's.
Auntie Angie's House.
Does that have something to do with saving America's children?
Auntie Angie's House, that's another perspective, saving America's children, and life begins in the womb. I started Auntie Angie's House from my own personal journey, being pregnant, being incarcerated at the time, and loving my child and not wanting to give her up. And Auntie Angie's House was born from that. It's a place where mothers can go. It's a safe place where they can go and they can carry their children and they can birth them. And we help rehabilitate them and have them re-enter back into society. So, you can't be a child unless you're a baby in the womb. So it all ties in together.
And a big decision today with the Supreme Court, I'm sure you would want to weigh in regarding transgender sports. But,
Yeah.
Okay, so the way that the Supreme Court ruled was that Title IX does not protect biological men in women's sports. So that's a big win for women's sports.
Yes, it is.
And it was a 6-3 decision, but even some of the liberal justices, 2 of them, agreed that Title IX doesn't necessarily protect biological men, which I thought was very surprising. What are your thoughts that this is finally now the law?
I'm just amazed, and it feels like America is getting back to common sense. Of course, I am a mother of a child that identifies, well, he's an adult, as an adult that identifies as trans. So I don't want to pick on anyone in that community, but I do want to make it clear that there is a defining difference between men and women. And being blessed to be a mother to 5 children, I have boys and girls, my perspective comes from being a girl, being a woman, which I was before I ever became a mother. So it is imperative for us to get back to common sense. We don't have to fight over common sense. It's just what it is what it is, and it's not political.
And I'd be curious to get your opinion on the birthright citizenship case. It didn't go in the Trump administration's favor. A lot of the conservative judges said that the Constitution protects birthright, meaning if you're born here, then you're a citizen. President Trump has made the argument that that was for slaves and not for the sons and daughters of immigrants that are coming here, and some of them very rich billionaires. What are your thoughts?
What a racist thing to say. I mean, they said that President Trump is a racist. Imagine him wanting to advocate for the children of slaves and saying that they are the only ones that deserve birthright citizenship. I totally agree with the president on this issue. I also agree with his administration. Right now, we are seeing, in my community, there's a constant outcry saying that we are a minority, that we're a marginalized community. And I think that we're going to always be the minority if we are putting other groups and other people before ourselves. So I'm all about America first. It's not so much about politics for me. Again, it's more about common sense.
Now, I spoke to a man today outside of the Supreme Court, and I was talking to him just in general. He had clear Trump derangement. He had an F Trump shirt on, but it seemed like he agreed with most of the Trump things that President Trump said. And he said that any black person that supports President Trump is an Uncle Tom. What does that mean exactly, and what do you say to that? Because I've heard that before.
Well, there's a huge misconception again about who Uncle Tom was. I mean, Uncle Tom was a friend. I mean, he actually helped free the slaves. So it's all about perception. This is my second go round with the Trump administration, so now I don't get so caught up in my feelings about the name calling. It's more so about the work. Those of us that get it, we get it, and the fight never stops.
That's great. And then I know you're doing, lastly, a lot of work when it comes to criminal justice, pardons, and advocating for those that have been wrongfully convicted. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, we fight for people who have been wrongly convicted, but my position as an advocate is more so about the people that deserve to have their lives restored. You could do time in prison 20 years ago and be free and do everything in your power to restore your life, but you're still labeled a convicted felon. So at what point, do we say enough is enough? So my advocacy during this current season is really about, reserving those beds and those seats in prison for the most harshest of crimes and of criminals. There's a lot of talk in Congress about, people right now, harming children and things like that. So I think that we should make sure we leave bed spaces available for those people in particular.
Hopefully, finally, we never know, maybe in the second half of Trump's term, we'll see some deep state arrests and we can save those beds for those criminals. And the deep state, the big arrests that we've wanted.
I hope so. Need be. I have faith in this administration. I know a lot of people in this administration that are really good people and really trying to do the right thing. So God be with us.
Thank you so much, Angela. Where can people follow you?
The Angie Stanton on IG, or the Auntie Angie on X.
Great interview there. A lot of hope for our future because there are fighters like Angela who are out there protecting our children. More news when we come back. First responders return home after working around the clock in Venezuela. An update on conditions there after last month's powerful earthquakes. That's next.
And like everybody else out there, I have used my arm, folded my pillows, got migraines in the morning from sleeping on poor pillows, and pillows are the problem. There is no bigger problem than a pillow.
My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it holds that support all night long to take the pressure off your shoulders and keep your neck aligned.
One's the size of a quarter, one's the size of a dime, and one's the size of down. Inside every pillow, they're interlocked together. You see how that holds?
Oh my gosh.
That will not migrate.
Supportive.
Wherever you set that, you get exactly what you need for your individual neck support.
I do all of my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota, and every part of my pillow is made in the USA. It's machine washable and dryable, and it comes with my 60-day money-back guarantee and a full 10-year warranty.
Sleep is one of the most important things to your health, and my pillow is one of the most important things to your sleep.
So go to mypillow.com or call 800-676-2147. Use promo code LTV to take advantage of this exclusive LINDELLTV offer. Order now.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets. Regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
In your news to go as you start your day, here's a look at other headlines we're following today. The death toll from Venezuela's earthquake 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, has now exceeded 3,300 people. Very sad situation there. Thousands of lives also saved by first responders from all around the world. Even here in the U.S., they've gone there to help in the recovery efforts. Response teams received this warm welcome home.
I'm going to tell you right now, because we received thousands of texts, emails, phone calls. We see them in the community. We've volunteered at the warehouses. You folks are the faces of hope to the tens of thousands of Venezuelans that are out there. I can't emphasize enough. Hold your heads up real high, because you guys are absolute heroes.
Welcome home. You know, they have a lot of work ahead of them there in Venezuela. Rescue teams continue to search through the rubble as relief efforts shift toward long-term rebuilding. Our prayers, of course, continue to go out to the people of Venezuela. Here's a look at the president's schedule today. President Trump, he is at the NATO summit in Turkey at 2:15 this afternoon. He participated in an arrival ceremony. They rolled out the red carpet for him, a warm welcome with the president of the Republic of Turkey. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, he will participate in a bilateral meeting with the president of the Republic of Turkey. Then this evening, he will participate in the NATO leaders' social dinner. For coverage of the president's visit and more news headlines, you can always visit LINDELLTV.com. We keep everything updated there. You can also download the LINDELLTV app. Make sure you do that today if you haven't already. You can download the app on your phones and your tablets. It is free in your app store. Now to our Bible verse of the day from the book of Psalms. The Bible says this: "Victory comes from you, O Lord. May you bless your people." And that'll do it for us here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you all same time, same place tomorrow. And we leave you today with sights and sounds from across America as we continue to celebrate this great country that we call home. Have a great day.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase. Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control. Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. All the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent, and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read two sources, you get an argument. Read